An average age of a dolphin in the wild can range from 40 to 70 years of age. Northerly cardinal marker, and it works in conjunction with that orange sign that you can see on the beach behind us, Llanina Point. Well, this is to basically indicate that there is a reef underneath us. And when it gets low waters, it can be very treacherous to the seafaring vessels. So obviously this cardinal marker tells everybody to keep north of this point. And many years ago, during 638 AD, St. Dina of Wessex, an old Saxon king, was travelling up this coastline and he was made shipwrecked. He was rescued by the locals and nursed back to health. In gratitude, he actually built a church on the reef itself. But over a number of years, it was demolished by the sea as the land regressed. But another 13 structures have stood in its place, where the current one now stands behind the orange sign within the trees. It was built during the 1800s, revamped in 1905, and now houses enough room. Oh, I just saw a big bass or a sewin being thrown out of the water just now by the two white boys together. So keep an eye out. There's a good fair size as well on the bass. Should have had my name on that one. But they throw the fish out obviously to soften the meat, and also they play with them sometimes like a cat and mouse. But this building, Llanina Church itself, it now houses enough room for 80 worshippers, and is one of the smallest churches to be found in Wales, called Llanina, which means Ina's parish in Welsh. Later on in life then, St. Ina abdicated his crown. He made a pilgrimage with his wife Ethelberg to the Vatican in Rome, Italy, where he was later canonized and also sainted. Well, with the dolphins, we do have a time limit to stay in their presence, as I mentioned about the code of conduct that we have set up in the area. So we will now carry on with the rest of our trip. But just as dynamic as the Concord Glade was. But as they dive and hit the water surface, over a number of years, their skulls actually would harden to withstand the impact of hitting the water. But oddly enough to think, after a number of years of doing so, they go blind. And they're unable to fend for themselves then, so the most common form of demise is actually starvation. But back to the dolphins, we also work in conjunction with the Sea-Watch Foundation. And this is a charity-based organisation involved in the conservation of dolphins and whales in the UK. And it's a national charity, but they have a base in Newquay, where they have many volunteers coming down every year to monitor and study the dolphins. And they sit on the harbour wall and come out on the trip boats as well with us to gain data and sightings. But they're the ones who have amalgamated a catalogue of over 250 individual dolphins that have been identified in the Cardigan Bay area via their dorsal fin. And there's a picture of each fin in the catalogue with either a name or a number associated with that dolphin. But Sea-Watch also have a base up in Anglesey, North Wales, where some of these dolphins are also spotted up there as well. And for example, over the winter time, a regular female called Smoothie, which is found quite often in Newquay, was spotted foraging for food off the mouth of the Mersey up in Liverpool only in January time. So it shows that they do travel a fair bit of distance up and down St. George's Channel, or better known as the inside of the Irish Sea. And on a typical day, A dolphin can swim between 50 up to 100 miles. Well, usually on the hour trip we venture to Cwm Tynnu, which is a little cove about 2 miles down the coast. But obviously with this, or the sea conditions as they are now, we won't be going much further. But just on our left-hand side, about another 150 metres or so, that's the start of the bird breeding colony, which works southwards for about a quarter of a mile or so. And there we have about 10 to 12 varieties of birds that come to breed and migrate here for the summertime, from about the months of April on to July time. End of July then, the majority of the birds work out to deeper oceans along with the young chicks, where they'll bulk up and feed up, ready for the journey back south for the winter time. Birds that are included there are guillemots, razorbills, cormorants, fulmars, shags, oyster catchers, kittiwakes, blackback gulls, herring gulls and common gulls. And it's probably the top 10 breeding sites in Wales, certainly the largest between North Wales and Pembrokeshire. The ledges were vacated about 31 days ago now in their thousands by the razorbills and guillemots. They're little black and white birds, part of the auk family, a cousin to the puffin and also the penguin. And they did resemble miniature penguins huddled up on the ledges together. The chicks hatched about 18 to 19 weeks ago, and they were ready for flight about 7 to 8 weeks ago. But the first introduction into flying for the chicks is actually being pushed off the ledge by the mother. These young chicks will work their way out now to deeper oceans for the next 4 to 5 years until they're mature enough to come back in and breed and lay their own eggs. On the higher ground then you will find peregrine falcons nesting, and they're an impressive bird of prey that can reach speeds of over 200 miles an hour, making it the fastest animal in the animal kingdom. About 250 yards down the coast, you can see that there's a large lump of rock that sticks out the side of the cliff. Well, that's Bird's Rock, which is the centre of the bird breeding colony. Above it, we have some of the tallest cliffs to be found in Ceredigion, where they range up to about 200 feet at this point, where you'll be able to see that there's a Coast Guard station right on the very top. And this was manned 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, up until about the late 1960s. Between the invention of radar and the declining shipping industry, it was closed down. But it was reopened again in 1992 with the National Trust and is now used as a dolphin observatory post. But as I mentioned about Cwm Tynnu, we usually go there, that's an old smuggler's cove, where during the 1800s we had a lot of smuggling going on the west coast of Wales. And we used to have tall ships coming up from Brittany with barrels of brandy, whiskey, rum and wine. All these were being thrown overboard to the waiting locals in diggies, who'd hide the barrels in the various caves and at the chapel at the top of the hill away from the excise men, to finally selling them without any tax and duty and it would make a bit of money for the locals. And obviously smuggling went on in Newquay as well. It was quite rife on the west coast of Wales. And an excise man of the time did label this area as an area of ill repute.